You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for listening to The Lyndia Grant Show here on Spirit 1340 WYCB, the oldest gospel radio station in Washington, D.C., and it is the first contemporary gospel outlet in the United States. Today is Friday, July 21st, 2023. We always have great shows for you. Today, our show is heard throughout the DMV live at 6 p.m. Tell all your friends to tune in and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just tell them to look for The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things. Welcome to today's show. I have two guests this week. One is attorney Shalora Williams. She's usually here with her attorney cap on, but today she's going to be talking to us as the president and CEO of the Development Corporation of Columbia Heights in Washington, D.C. She's going to close with a little commercial for her tax business because I asked her to, because she's on our channel so much talking about it. How are you today, attorney Shalora Williams?
I am fine, Lyndia, and thank you for having me on today.
All right. So glad. Tell everybody to tune in, you all. All right. So now we're going to go to Dr. Julianne Malvo. She's always on first. She's a nationally known economist, dean of Cal State Los Angeles. She's one of two president emeritus at Bennett College in North Carolina. She has her PhD in economics. She's a world traveler and speaker, the president of the Push Excel Youth Organization founded by Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson out of Chicago, Illinois. Hello today, Dr. Julianne. How are you? Let's talk politics or economics. And welcome back from your trip abroad.
So, Lyndia, it's great to be back with you. I've been missing for a couple of weeks. You know, I was in Zambia, which is a small interior country in southern Africa, where, of course, Victoria Falls is. People like to think Victoria Falls is in South Africa or Zimbabwe. No, it is in Zambia. So I had a wonderful trip and reminded me so much of the issues that we have to deal with the African continent, especially considering the ways that we in the United States often intervene poorly. And many of the African countries, you know, we always think about Nigeria, Ghana, you know, South Africa, but we have to think about that there are 55 sub-Saharan African countries, and we have to think about some of the others as well. And all of them are facing some of the same challenges. They own rare materials, but if it's not the United States, it's China who's trying to take over. So it's a foreign policy issue that I think we have to deal with, and I'm asking people to be aware, to follow these news items around this. Now, as you said, I'm president of Push Excel. So I'm here in Chicago with Reverend Jackson, who on Sunday announced that he will pivot, that's the term he used, he will pivot from his leadership role of president and CEO of Rainbow Push. He will be teaching at the University of Chicago. He will be a senior advisor to his successor, who is Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes III. And I can call him Freddie because we go back to San Francisco days. Freddie has given several rousing speeches this week, starting on Sunday when Reverend Jackson made his announcement, but moving forward. And he is, I think that probably he and Reverend Jackson started talking about the possibility of him playing a role in 2019. So 4 years ago, they began the conversation, and, you know, Reverend wasn't ready to let it go. Nobody ever is. And Freddie wasn't ready to take it on. But now they are on one page, and the one page is that they will continue to lift Rainbow. I have a profound disappointment about what has happened, which is that the mainstream media has really not played this up. I mean, there was a little piece on CNN. Of course, Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, was here on Sunday and gave a really great speech, tribute to Reverend. Both President Biden and President Clinton have tweeted out their support. Unfortunately, we did not hear from President Obama, and I'm not going to go there. Y'all just read between the lines. But in any case, We did get video tributes from Mark Morial, from Al Sharpton, and Dr. Ron Daniels of the Institute for the Black World gave an amazing tribute to Reverend on Saturday. In any case, what we know right now is that Reverend Jackson is pivoting in another direction. We have to give him props because so many leaders do not pivot. They don't know where to go. But he's known when to go. He's picked the right one, and so we're all very excited about that. And we're also, yes, those. You could not wipe the grin off my face if you tried. It's sad, but it's also moving forward and having a leader.
Dr. Juliana, I hate to bring this up, but you know goodness well how connected I am to Reverend with that official bronze bust sitting inside of the Push headquarters that me and my sisters did back in 1985. It was unveiled, a bronze bust, and he takes so many pictures standing beside it. So you know I'm right there with you.
And yes, and I see the bus all the time. I was there 3 days this week, and of course we're having our conference at the University of Chicago. It ended yesterday with the Women's Luncheon, which was, the Women's Luncheon is always our biggest event, and so we ended with the Women's Luncheon. And of course, Sister Jackie Jackson, who founded the Women's Luncheon, was there, and so many others. The Lieutenant Governor spoke. His sister, her name is Juliana, so we always laugh about similar names. But she spoke, and we just had so many people and so many of our young people, and it really was an amazing, just amazing. Reverend Jackson is my brother.
I know.
Sometimes he calls himself my big brother, and he is, and we've done so many things together, and so I'm just grateful for this opportunity to be here. Now, moving forward, and you tell me when I've taken enough time, because I know you know how to do that. But moving forward, let's talk a bit about affirmative action. Many universities now are saying, well, if they can't have affirmative action, they will also eliminate legacy admissions. Legacy admissions are you get extra points because your mama or daddy went to Harvard or Yale or whatever. So they're saying, well, that's not fair either. So that's exciting because if we're going to do fairness, let's do fairness for everybody. That's what's going on there. And it's an exciting opportunity, I think, to see how this plays out and if these legacy donors, because the reason why they let legacy students in is because their mamas and daddies give money. Will they stop giving money? It's just a question. It's just a question. The other thing that, we have to talk about today very briefly is the former president who quickly charges against him regarding January 6th of 2021 are now playing out. And it's very likely that within the next 2 weeks he may be arrested. He has so many charges against him. I don't even see how he has the nerve to run for president of the United States, but he has the nerve. He has the nerve to do whatever he feels like doing. But we have to look at the state charges. He can pardon himself if elected for the federal charges, but he cannot pardon himself for the state charges. So this is an interesting development. No Labels is the group of people that they say that they don't want to be right or left. They just don't want to have any labels. Unfortunately, Ben Chavis, head of NNPA, National Newspaper Publishers Association, the Black Press Organization, is a member and a prominent member. Joe Manchin, so-called Democrat, I call him Dino, Democrat in name only, from West Virginia, is basically talking about running for president under the No Labels, basically so-called party. The challenge with that, of course, is that it's a direct attack on President Biden. Here's what we know. Republicans, about a hard third of the Republican Party supports President Trump. I just said president. I take it back. Resident. He was a resident of the White House. But anyway, a hard third supports him. DeSantis and the others have not been able to basically reduce his popularity. And Manchin's attempt to run for president, it literally is an attack on Democrats. But he says he's a Democrat. He's a Dino. But in any case, this is hot news because I think he was in New Hampshire, and he's really trying to build momentum. And the final thing I would want to talk about today is the extreme heat that people are feeling all over the country. 110 degrees in Sacramento, 110 plus degrees in Las Vegas. There are the global warming deniers. How can you deny global warming when you see what's going on? It's frightening. The issue is that the United States and China have sat down and talked about. China had one city there was 126 degrees.
Wow.
So we really have to look at what we're doing with our climate. And too many people are climate deniers. Meanwhile, there are people who are sweltering in parts of Texas, Dallas, Texas, 106 degrees. You know, people are sweltering.
Arizona, where my daughter lives.
Oh, God.
Could you imagine? We all in the family chat running and talking about, y'all better, we sit in a ship to get you making jokes. This is too hot for you all. It's ridiculous.
117 degrees. In Phoenix, they've had 117, 116, extremely high temperatures. So the point is that this issue of climate change is one that many of us have ignored. We in the Black community feel like it doesn't deal with us, but like you said, your daughter's in Phoenix. There are parts of the South, Texas, that are sweltering. It's time to take a look at climate change and what we can do about it.
Yes,
so that's it for me this week, Lyndia, and I look forward to being with you next week.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. J. So glad to have you back and glad you've been able to be back from Zambia and right to Chicago supporting Reverend Jackson. Thank you, and we'll talk next week.
Absolutely. Thank you much.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Dr. Julian. We always appreciate you. Now we're going to go to our commercial break, and when we return, we will be talking with Attorney Shalor Williams. She's going to be talking to us about a community development corporation. It is the Development Corporation of Columbia Heights in Washington, D.C. Tune in case you wherever you are, you might want to do the same thing. So stay tuned.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington Informer religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Ms. Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired. But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in." Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it. Be inspired.
We are back from our commercial break. Now we're going to go to our second half of our show, talking to Shalora Williams. Just want to tell you a little bit about Shalora Williams. I have known Shalora for nearly 30 years. We worked together at Councilman Frank Smith's office. She was our chief of staff when he was the council member for Ward 1. She still lives in Ward 1. And she was a principal of St. Augustine's School. And right now she was a partner in a law firm, but now she is the sole owner of a law firm. But today she's here to talk to us about the Development Corporation of Columbia Heights, something she worked on in the past, and now she's taken that thing on full speed as the president and CEO, and she'll tell us a little bit about what's going on at the law firm. Welcome today, Shalora. Talk to us about what you're doing in Washington, D.C.
Thank you again for having me, and I enjoy talking to you and your listeners. Today I wear a new hat, Lyndia. I am the president and CEO of the Development Corporation of Columbia Heights. Now, this corporation is a nonprofit organization, but it was established in 1984 by the wonderful and late Robert L. Moore, Sr. And in 1984, it was established as a result of the 1968 riots.
Wow.
And so the community needed to revitalize itself, but it took a man like Robert L. Moore, Sr. to have the vision to do so.
And everybody called him Bob, in case somebody listening.
Yeah, they called him Bob, and it was like a mayor. He could walk down the street and everybody knew him. He loved the community. He loved people, and he loved serving the community. That's why when he established the Development Corporation of Columbia Heights as a nonprofit, the mission was to plan and coordinate and execute neighborhood revitalization projects that expanded into affordable housing availability and to increase employment opportunities for the people who lived in the community. His vision was unbelievable. You look at the fact that the riots were in 1968, but it took 40 years to develop the Tivoli and the DC USA building on 14th Street. 40 years. He could have stopped. He could have gave up, but no. He and his board at that time kept pushing. They put together the Nehemiah project as the metro line was coming through, the Green Line. And they sold through his collaboration, the Nehemiah Group, about 48 cooperatives and townhouses in the community. The Nehemiah project that started from U Street on up 14th Street.
I remember that one, Shalora, because every time I heard it, I thought about the story in the Bible. I know we don't have to go there, but I just wanted to say that.
Go right there, because that's exactly what spearheaded the Nehemiah project. And you can remember, you probably was on the staff of. I was. Frank. And he and Bob worked together to bring that project to the community. And as they worked on that, Bob went to the Tivoli project. The Tivoli was built in 1924, but he brought it back, and they put it, and it closed in 1975. However, he brought it back, and we have the new Tivoli project, which brought the Giant to Columbia Heights, or to the community. It brought the Gala Theater to the community, and I believe that spearheaded the beginning of the northern end of the 14th Street revitalization.
Okay.
He worked with the Horning brothers to bring that project to the community. And we now have the wonderful DCUSA project on 14th Street. He worked with the grid. He worked with the grid properties to build that. And we went to New York City and saw grid properties improvement in Harlem. And from that vision, we put it on 14th Street.
Wow.
Now, I'm telling you, from 1968 to 2008, it was amazing of the work the
transition. Yes.
It was just amazing. He had vision, but he didn't just do that. The Development Corporation of Columbia Heights did not just do one thing. They did several things. They worked on providing affordable housing for the community. They worked on economic development for the community, small business training, the civic association improvement. He would have workshops, invite the whole community together to discuss what was needed in the community and work toward getting it together.
I remember. Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate most of my time with the Development Corporation. I was the chair or a member and then became the chair of the board. And now I am the proud CEO and president of this wonderful nonprofit organization.
Jumping in to take off where Bob left off, and I love
jumping in to take off where Bob left off. You are absolutely right. Now, the pandemic and other problems has we've been dormant, been quiet, but we're rolling back. I'm reintroducing the Development Corporation of Columbia Heights to the neighborhood. As you know that at the Target building, the DCUSA building, we put a new grocery store. Major, Lidl, grocery at the affordable prices for our community. So now we have two major grocery food stores in the community to go along with Best Buy, to go along with Marshalls, to go along with sit-down restaurants. I grew up in this neighborhood, and we did not have sit-down restaurants in the neighborhood. We had good old wings and things, you know that. We had we had carry-outs, but we did not have a sit-down restaurant. And now we do, thanks to the vision of Mr. Moore and the Development Corporation of Columbia Heights. Currently, we have a wonderful board of 12 members, and as I said before, we're going to be rolling up our sleeves, working with the community, other associations, to make this community continue to blossom.
I know it. I'm looking forward to it. So, Lord, do you want to talk about anything you have planned, or you got to wait and see what comes out of your strategy?
Well, I don't want to say that we have something planned, because I want the community to help us plan it. And it's an opportunity to use your vehicle for your listeners to hear what we are going to do, what we have. But what you can count on is that we are reintroducing the greatest nonprofit organization in Columbia Heights to the whole DMV area.
All right, that sounds exciting.
It is. I am beaming with joy as the new president and CEO of this organization.
Oh, I guess so, because I remember Bob Moore took this place by storm. So, and knowing you and all the energy and enthusiasm you have and the legal abilities, look out, Development Corporation of Columbia Heights. You got something in store for you coming. It's already beautiful, but this new president is going to take you the last mile of the way, at least while we're on this earth. Now, when somebody else come behind her, they can do their own thing. But while we're here, count on Shalor Williams. Now, Shalor, close on that, and then tell us a little bit about your legal. Invite people to your law office.
Okay. We just wanted to say we're going to have fun serving our community, and that includes the tenants that we have in our apartment buildings. And our apartment buildings are for affordable housing, affordable rent. Mm-hmm. And just call us on 202-483-4986 or come visit our office or visit us at 2604 Georgia Avenue Northwest.
I'm going to send this show to someone. Her husband died, and she's been looking for something like this. So I'm going to send her a copy of the show.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you. And for a moment, I always want to talk about how important it is to at least know that we don't have control of how we live or how long we live. We don't have control over that.
No.
We don't know from one second to the next second whether we're going to need a doctor, a hospital, or whether we're going to die. Mm-hmm. Over the past few months and all over the country, especially in the District of Columbia, we've had a lot of crime and a lot of fatalities. I only ask your listening group to think about their estate planning. If they need help, they can call me on 301-341-5577. I help people. I do workshops for estate planning. Everybody needs a last will and testament. Everybody needs a advanced health care plan, and everybody needs a durable power of attorney. And I'm here to serve the community as always, Lydia.
All right. Thank you, Shalora. That was great. I really do appreciate you. All right, you all. You've been listening to President and CEO of Shalora Williams Development Corporation of Columbia Heights. They got some exciting plans coming out. Stay tuned because we will be bringing her back on here from time to time with some updates, talking about what the community has decided to do. And she invited you to give her a call at her law firm in case you need a last will and testament or something in your will and probate work completed. She's able to help you. All right. Well, we thank you for being our guest today, Shalora.
I am so happy to be one.
All right. We'll talk to you again next time. Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. That does it for our show this week. We plan to have next week a medical show. Her name, the nurse is going to be Jasmine Seville. She's a medical professional, registered nurse, and she has some other titles. Tune in to hear more about what's going on with Medicaid. There's some major things that every person listening who has Medicaid needs to know. And this is not something that you want to miss because it can cause you not to have a plan any longer. And then join us at the All Nations Baptist Church every Sunday where our pastor is the Reverend Dr. James Coleman. We're located at number 2 Rhode Island Avenue, Northeast Washington, D.C., right there at North Capitol and Rhode Island Avenue. That is my church. I go to church there every Sunday. Look for the church with the red doors. We're recruiting singers. Anybody that want to sing lead or sing background and you haven't been able to get on a choir, come and give me a call. My number is 240-602-6295. We hope this show with Dr. Julianne Malvo and Shalora Williams were helpful to you today. Earl Nightingale once said, words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect. So be careful what you send out. We do become what we think about. Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So think on these things. From the Lyndia Grant Show, I'm your host, Lyndia Grant. Until next week, good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.